Today I have got an opportunity to discuss the topic Bloom's taxonomy and its application in science. I am thankful to Mr. Tanvir sir, STNC, for giving this topic. We the teachers are knowing already that from ancient times this teaching and learning process is continued till now. Initially, disciples were used to live in gurukuls, where they get knowledge from the teachers as well as understanding also from teachers. They also get knowledge from the surrounding. They were given various tasks also to perform to make them skilled so that the disciples may apply the teachings and learnings in their everyday life for the welfare of society, for the welfare of mankind. They were also given moral values and attitudes. They were always encouraged to be creative. And we all know that the purpose of teaching is actually to bring about a desirable change in the behavior of the learner. The change in behavior, I mean to say that their knowledge should be increased, their understanding. They may apply the knowledge and understanding in certain circumstances, as well as they may apply and create something new. The development of critical and creative kinds of thinking is a major goal for education in the 21st century. And this presentation aims to help furnish the teachers with all the scaffolding and assistance he will need to be able to involve learners in developing their abilities to engage in higher order processes, that is higher order thinking skills. And the development of improved thinking among our students should be our focus of attention. The revised Bloom's taxonomy will provide the pathway that would lead to improve the thinking of the learners. Let us come on in the background. In 1956, Benjamin Bloom, a professor at the University of Chicago, shared his famous taxonomy of educational objectives. Bloom identified 6 levels of cognitive complexity that have been used over the past 4 decades to make sure that instruction stimulates and develops students higher order thinking skills. The institutes make use of Bloom's taxonomy to improve curriculum, assessments, and teaching methods. We are fortunate that we are preparing our lesson plans according to the Bloom's taxonomy from the beginning, particularly in social science, mathematics. the lesson plan is prepared according to Bloom taxonomy only. We prepare the question and the content as knowledge based, understanding based, skill based, application based, as well as to create creativity among the learners or the students. We also note down in our lesson plan as what projects the students must be given to develop his creative skill, his or her creative skill, as well as the application skill. Now, let us know what is taxonomy actually. Actually, taxonomy and classification are synonymous and helps dispel uneasiness with the term. That is, taxonomy is a synonym of classification. Bloom's taxonomy is a multi-tiered model of classifying things according to 6 cognitive levels of complexity. It led many teachers to encourage their students to climb to a higher level of thought. Bloom taxonomy helped the teachers to think and analyze their teaching and students' learning. The framework is used to state clear objectives which can help the teachers to plan lessons accordingly. It helps the teachers to understand the objective of classroom teaching. It guides them to change the complexity and helps students to achieve higher levels of hierarchy. Further, it helps to develop critical thinking also among the teachers.
In the 1950s, educational psychologist Dr. Benjamin Bloom led a team of researchers and educators who developed a model for educational learning objectives. Their goal was to create a taxonomy to help improve critical thinking skills in schools. The end result was the Taxonomy of Educational Objectives in 1956, but it's more commonly referred to as Bloom's Taxonomy. This model broke learning objectives down into 3 different domains. The first was the cognitive domain, which focused on the acquisition of knowledge. The second was the affective domain, which focused on emotions and attitudes, and it tends to be tied to things like student engagement. And the final was the psychomotor domain, which focused on actions and motor skills. The most prominent of these domains was the cognitive domain, and it's still what many educators use when crafting objectives and learning targets, constructing questions, designing assessments, and coming up with their basic lesson plans. Bloom's taxonomy is often represented as a hierarchy, though it was never explicitly meant to treat lower levels as less than or higher levels as better than. Instead, the bottom levels are foundational and they build progressively up into those higher levels. Here is the original Bloom's taxonomy, which goes from knowledge to comprehension to application to analysis to synthesis and entered into evaluation. But more recently, scholars have updated this Bloom's taxonomy by taking knowledge out of the cognitive domain and making a new knowledge domain with factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. They've also revised the cognitive domain, which is what we're going to focus on right now. The first level is remember, which focuses on the recall or retrieval of information. Students might be able to list the order for classifying organisms, define the symbols on a map, recall how to shoot a free throw, or identify how to search for information online. The second part is understand, which focuses on comprehension rather than just recall. Here, students engage in organizing, translating, and generalizing the information. Students might summarize the key events in the novel, classify government systems given case studies, clarify the next steps in playing an instrument, or explain how to solve a problem. Which leads to the next phase, which is apply. Here, students use prior knowledge in a new situation. They might involve practicing a skill in a new context, or students might provide advice in a given scenario. They might use rhetoric to improve a technique in speech, apply a strategy to a new problem, or carry out a test in a science experiment. The fourth level is analyze, where students examine and break down the information. Here they might identify causes and effects in a historical event or a scientific phenomenon. They might compare and contrast ideas or ideologies, make inferences, look for trends in mathematical data, or find evidence to support their generalizations. The fifth level is evaluate, where students defend opinions, make judgments, and assess information. Students might rank inventions for their impact in history, draw conclusions from a scientific experiment, judge the validity of data in a mathematical set, or assess the quality of a theatrical performance or a work of art. The sixth and final level is create, where students generate something new based on prior knowledge. It might be a new idea, a new solution, or a new system. We should note that there are some valid criticisms of Bloom's taxonomy. First, it treats learning as sequential. But learning isn't always linear. For example, a teacher might start with an evaluation-based question to pique students' interest before doing a hands-on application activity in the apply category. A second criticism is with the use of a hierarchy. This implies specific levels that are dependent on each other as building blocks. But learning sometimes is more like a sliding continuum where you move back and forth as you learn. Furthermore, Bloom's taxonomy relies on a clear distinction between categories. But mental processes are complex and connected and idiosyncratic. And this makes the categories seem, well, kind of arbitrary. Finally, it's outdated. Bloom's taxonomy is a product of its time, the Cold War United States of America. And this was a solid decade before the first humans landed on the moon. This is why some critics argue that a more accurate model of mental processes should be built on our current understandings of neuroscience. And yet, for all of these criticisms, Bloom's taxonomy remains prevalent at both the K-12 and higher education levels. Perhaps Bloom's taxonomy is less of a learning theory and more of a framework, albeit flawed, that reminds us to incorporate critical thinking in the classroom and take learning to a higher level.
So, in the video, and from the video, you have seen that there are three domains of learning. Number one is the cognitive domain, which involves knowledge and which can be understood in the minds. That is mental skills or knowledge. It comes in cognitive domain. The second one is psychomotor domain. This can be achieved by doing, by hand, or by using body. This is called manual or physical skills. And third one is affective domain. That is feeling, emotions, which can be felt by heart. The growth in feelings and emotional areas called attitude involves in this domain. In cognitive domain, there are 6 levels, as you have seen in the video. The first one, or the basic level, is knowledge level. Second one is to its higher level, that is comprehension level. Third one is application level. Fourth one is analysis. Fifth one is synthesis. And last one is evaluation. One more level can be added to this 6 levels, that is creation. The second, in second psychomotor domain, we have the reflex movements, basic fundamental movements, perceptual abilities, physical abilities, skilled movements, non-discursive movements also. And in third one domain, that is affective domain, it comes receiving, responding, valuing, organization, characterization. Let us see the Bloom's taxonomy objectives in the cognitive domain. Initially, this cognitive domain was introduced in 1956 by Dr. Bloom. As you can see, the lowest level or the basic level is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis and synthesis. And this taxonomy of educational objectives can be achieved not only in science but in all subjects like mathematics, physics, literature, geography, chemistry, biology, geometry, history as well. Later on, the taxonomy given by Dr. Bloom was revised in 1990 by Anderson, his disciple, former disciple, and further it was revised in 2001. And he also introduced 6 levels of learning. That is, in place of knowledge, he revised remembering. And second one remained the same, understanding. Third one also remained the same, that is applying. Fourth one is analyzing. And in Dr. Bloom's taxonomy, creating was not there, there was synthesis. And last one level was evaluating. But he changed this order and he placed at the 5th level evaluating and the 6th level at the place of synthesis he put there creating. Bloom taxonomy of cognitive development. Bloom identified 6 levels within the cognitive domain, from the simple recall or recognition of facts as the lowest level through complex and abstract mental levels to the higher order, which is classified as evaluation. A description of the 6 levels as well as the verb examples that represent intellectual activity are also listed here. Knowledge is defined as remembering of previously learned material. This may involve the recall of the wide range of material from specific facts to complete theories, but that is required is the bringing to mind of the appropriate information. Knowledge represents the lowest level of learning outcomes in the cognitive domain. It indicates learning of students in the classroom. Whenever a student has learned theoretically or practically, both are considered as its knowledge aspects. A student knowledge level acts as a catalyst in unlocking their levels. If a student has good knowledge, he or she may implement it in a way that no one can imagine. So this level is considered as the pillar of the educational model. The second one level is comprehension level, and it is defined as the verbs which is used in this knowledge level. I want to discuss with our colleagues. What are the verbs which may be used to describe the knowledge level in the classroom as well as outside the classroom? Please, any of you know or many of you know, please tell the verbs which can be used at the knowledge level to ask questions, to give tasks to the students. One verb I am telling you, that is arrange. In science, in social science, in English, in Hindi, in every subject, we give a student some words to arrange. Mathematics too. Arrange the numbers in increasing order. Arrange the numbers in decreasing order. Similarly in science, metals, non-metals among the groups to identify. Arrange the metals and non-metals separately. In knowledge level, it is also asked define, duplicate, level. A figure is given and students are asked to level it. Suppose a tree is drawn on the board, or it is said to the students to draw a tree and level its parts. Also, they can be asked to draw the flower of a plant and to level its parts. List, memorize, name, order, recognize, relate, recall, repeat, reproduce state. All these are verbs that is used in the knowledge level. Next one is comprehension. It is defined as the ability to grasp the meaning of material. This may be shown by translating material from one form to another, that is from words to numbers. By interpreting material, that is explaining or summarizing. Explaining or summarizing, it comes in comprehension level. And by estimating future trends, that is predicting consequences or effects. What will be the consequences and what will be the effects? That is, say, global warming. What are the effects of global warming? These are the effects they can predict. These learning outcomes go to one step beyond the simple remembering or knowledge level of material and represent the lowest level of understanding also. For instance, no matter how much a student scores in the exam and know about the concepts, but the value of education would be when he truly understands it. How much he or she has scored in the exam, it doesn't matter. But if he or she is understanding the topic deeply, very well, it is important. Understanding a concept to the core can be a game changer for the student who want to have a successful career ahead. Therefore, students must focus on understanding the teachings to their depth and not take them lightly. Application. This refers to the ability to learn material in new and concrete situations. This may include the application of such things as rules, methods, concepts, principles, laws, and theories. Learning outcome in this area require a higher level of understanding than those under comprehension, because they have to apply their knowledge and understanding in certain situations. For example, for instance, if a student learns how to write in English language, he understands it well and has a good aptitude also. However, there may come a situation at a time where his parents need to write a letter in English for an urgent work. He should be able to write the letter. This is where he would apply his knowledge in his real life. Also, in the class of in the subject of mathematics, if a student knows the definition of certain term and formula also, he understands. But when a problem is given to him or her, he becomes or she becomes able to solve the problem or not. This will decide their application skill, that he or she is understanding and he or she has knowledge to apply in that very situation. This is important. The verbs used in this application level are apply, choose, demonstrate, dramatize, employ, illustrate, interpret, operate, practice, schedule, sketch, solve, use, write, etc.
Teachers or students can use to classify and organize learning objectives. Its most popular version is based on the cognitive domain and assumes that learning should be structured from easy to difficult in the following 6 steps. 1. Remember. 2. Understand. 3. Apply. 4. Analyze. 5. Evaluate. 6. Create. On the first level, we learn to remember. There is just rote memorization and recollection of facts without much understanding. For example, if we learn about lemons, we want to remember the name, shape, color, size, and that they are sour. Once we memorize these essentially meaningless facts, we move to the second level of learning. On level 2, we learn to understand. We begin to decode information and learn that a lemon is yellow when it's ripe to eat, and if we take a bite, that it's really super sour. We also understand that lemons love sunshine and that they contain lots of vitamin C, which is a great natural antioxidant that keeps us healthy. Now, as we really understand a lemon, we can work with it. On the third level, we apply what we know. We've understood that while lemons are sour, they are also a great provider of vitamin C. To apply this knowledge in a meaningful way, we could boil a lemon into hot water and add some honey. Then serve this hot lemon to our sick sister, who's in need of treatment. On the fourth level, we learn to analyze. This involves examining and breaking down information into components, determining how the parts relate to one another, and finding evidence to support generalizations. We study the lemon flesh, examine the skin, and look at levels of vitamins. We conclude that we can eat everything inside, while the skin tastes bitter and contains traces of toxic pesticides. It ought not to be consumed. Now we are ready to evaluate. We analyze, critique, and compare. To evaluate our lemon as a good source of vitamins, we compare it to other sources, such as oranges and supplements. We look at the following properties: vitamin levels, affordability, taste, and packaging waste. If we evaluate our thoughts critically and without bias, we learn where the lemons score high and where others score higher. Now, after we have learned, understood, applied, analyzed, and evaluated, we are ready to create. As we now really understand lemons, also in comparison to similar things, we can formulate a plan to create our own natural lemonade. It's now easy to come up with a cute shop design, a good name, and a good slogan: natural, healthy, yummy. Bloom's taxonomy was first created in 1946 by American psychologist Benjamin Bloom. The revised version from 2001, as just presented, serves as the backbone of many teaching philosophies, in particular those that aim towards teaching specific skills. Each level usually comes with a clear learning objective that can be tested. Critics of the taxonomy often question the existence of a sequential, hierarchical link between each level. What are your thoughts? Please share them in the comments below. Dance videos for better learning. Thousands of teachers play them in their classrooms to start projects. Volunteers on YouTube have translated them to over 25 languages. Our mission is to promote learning by doing in classrooms around the world. If you are a great explainer and a passionate teacher, and you want to help us develop outstanding content, contact us. To support our channel with a donation, visit patreon.com/browse.
This refers to the ability to break down material into its component parts, so that its original structure may be understood. This may include the identification of the parts, analysis of relationships between parts, and recognition of the organizational principles involved. Learning outcomes here represent the higher intellectual level than comprehension and application, because they require an understanding of both content and the structural form of the material. Analyzing anything is quite an imperative task, because someone says something, the student must not accept the same. They must develop an analysis power that could differentiate between what is authentic and what is not. It would help the students to deal with any situation in the career. In analysis level, the verbs used are analyze, appraise, calculate, categorize, compare, contrast, criticize, differentiate, discriminate, distinguish, examine, experiment, question, test, etc. After analysis, the next higher level is synthesis level, which refers to the ability to put parts together to form a new whole. This may involve the production of a unique communication, that is theme or speech, a plan of operations, that is for research proposal, or a set of abstract relations, a scheme of classifying information. Learning outcomes in this area stress creative behaviors with major emphasis on the formation of new pattern or structure. To reach this level, the student needs to be well prepared and has gained knowledge in depth. Without depth knowledge, they cannot synthesize anything new. Verbs used for this level are arrange, assemble, collect, compose, construct, design, create, develop, formulate, manage, organize, plan, prepare, propose, set up, write. The highest level in this domain is evaluation, which is concerned with the ability to judge the value of material, that is a statement, novel, poem, research report, for a given purpose. The judgments are to be based on definite criteria. These may be internal criteria, that is called organization, or external criteria, that is called relevance to the purpose. And the students may determine the criteria or to be given them. Learning outcomes in this area are highest in the cognitive hierarchy because they contain elements of all the other categories plus conscious value judgments based on clearly defined criteria. It won't happen overnight. This evaluation level cannot be achieved overnight. The entire process takes good amount of time. However, the teachers need to encourage the student to clear all the stages and develop skills that would help them to fulfill their dreams. Verbs used in this level are appraise, argue, assess, attach, choose, compare, defend, estimate, judge, predict, rate, core, select, support, value, evaluate. And the seventh level, that is top level, which can be added to this domain is creation. Creation indicates that the student must be able to create something out of teaching learning process. It can be understood as a student writes a book or he creates a device that would help society in some way. Creation itself is a great achievement. It aims towards the welfare of the society, which is one of the main purpose of Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's revised taxonomy, as I told you just before, that in 1990s, Lauren Anderson, former student of Bloom, revisited the taxonomy. As a result, a number of changes were made. You can see original terms used in Dr. Bloom's taxonomy and in the revised Bloom taxonomy, in which you can see knowledge is revised to remembering, comprehension to understanding, application to applying, analysis to analyzing. Synthesis got the top position, that is creating, and evaluation came second last, that is evaluating. Bloom's revised taxonomy. In remembering level, recalling information, recognizing, listing, describing, retrieving, naming and finding. To its upper level, that is understanding. In this level, explaining ideas or concepts, interpreting, summarizing, paraphrasing, classifying and explaining. In applying level, using information in another familiar situation that a student has learned in remembering and understanding level, where he will apply it in a new situation or in familiar situation. Implementing, carrying out experiments, solving numerical problems, using and executing. After this higher level is analyzing. As I told you before, it is in this level breaking information into parts to explore understanding and relationships, comparing, organizing, deconstructing, interrogating and finding. In evaluating level, justifying a decision or course of action. It is right or wrong, it is advantageous, disadvantageous, etc. Checking, hypothesizing, critiquing, experimenting, judging. Last one, creating level is generating a new idea, generating new ideas, new products or ways to viewing things, designing, constructing, planning and producing, as well as inventing something new. Practical blooms. Suitable for use with the entire class. It gives emphasis on certain levels for different children. Extend children's thinking skill through emphasis on higher level of taxonomy. That is from remembering, understanding and application to analysis, evaluation and creation level. What should be the possible approaches with a class? That could be all children work through the remembering and understanding stage and then select at least one activity from each other level. The students should be asked to select an activity apart from knowledge, understanding and application level, that is from analysis level, that is from evaluation level and also from the creation level. All the children work through first two levels and then select activities from any other level. First two levels they have to do, and then they have a choice to select any activity or project for any other level. Some children work at lower level while others work at higher level. All children select activities from any level. These are the various options which can be used in the classroom. Some activities are tagged essential. All students have to take that very activity, while others are optional. Next one, a thinking process singled out for particular attention. Example, computerizing, done with all children or in a small group of individuals. Some children work through lower levels and then design their own activities at the higher level. All children write their own activities from the taxonomy. Let us we see a sample unit, that is space. In this very unit, in remembering part, students can be asked to cut out pictures from a magazine and make a display or a collage. List some space words or alphabet key. List the names of planets in our universe. List all the things an astronaut would need or require for a space journey. This will come in remembering part of the taxonomy. In understanding level, students can be asked to make his or her desk into a spaceship. Make an astronaut for a puppet play. They may use it to tell what an astronaut does. Also, they can make a model of the planets in the solar system. In application level, that is in applying, students may keep a diary of his or her space adventures. They may be given 5 days or more, depending upon the teacher. What sort of instruments would they need to make a space music? They may also ask to make a list of questions he or she would like to ask an astronaut. In analyzing level, students may make an application from a person applying for the job of an astronaut. Compare Galileo's telescope to a modern telescope. They may distinguish between the Russian and American space programs. In evaluating part, they may compare the benefits of living on the Earth and on the Moon. We can take 3 people with you to the Moon. Choose and give reasons. Choose a planet you would like to live on and explain why. This type of questions may be asked from the students. And in creating level, students may be asked to write a newspaper report for the following headlines: a spaceship out of control. They may use the scamper strategy to design a new spacesuit. Create a game called a Space Snack. They may prepare a menu for the spaceship crew. They may design an advertising program for trips to the Moon. The next one simple unit is from travel. In this very part, in this very simple unit, there is a thinking by Fisher in 1998. A good teacher makes you think even when you don't want to. I am repeating it once again. A good teacher makes you think even when you don't want to. Now, grooming questions. Questioning should be used purposefully to achieve well-defined goals. Since Bloom taxonomy's classification of thinking organized by level of complexity, it gives teachers and students an opportunity to learn and practice a range of thinking and provides a simple structure for many different kinds of questions and thinking. The taxonomy involves all categories of questions. Typically, a teacher would vary the level of questions within a single lesson. They may vary the questions according to the level of the students in a particular topic. Lower level questions are those at the remembering, understanding and lower level application levels of the taxonomy. Usually questions at the lower levels are appropriate for evaluating a student's preparation and comprehension, diagnosing a student's strength and weakness, as well as reviewing and or summarizing content. Higher level questions are those requiring complex application, analysis, evaluation or creation skills. Questions at higher level of taxonomy are usually most appropriate for encouraging students to think more deeply and critically, problem solving, encouraging discussions by organizing debate competitions in the class, by stimulating students to seek information on their own. They have to seek information on their own also.
The Center for Academic Success presents Bloom's Taxonomy, a classification of learning levels. It maps the way we think and process information. The levels of learning are remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. The lower levels are more straightforward and fundamental, while the higher levels are more complex. Let's see how Bloom's Taxonomy can help you with your learning. Level 1, remembering.
Who's your friend who likes to play? Who's your friend who likes to play?
His rocket makes you yell, hooray! Who's the best in everybody wants to sing the song?
Come in.
take her to the roof.